Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars video. It is I coming at you once again, your favourite galactic hostess, Star Wars Meg. And today we have some shocking Star Wars Jedi news. An interesting canon development which piqued my interest for two very specific reasons. Number one, the Jedi this concerns is Aayla Secura, probably my favourite Jedi in all of Star Wars. These days maybe it's a tie between Obi-Wan, Aayla Secura and Jaina Solo. Oh, and how could I forget Yaddle? But I grew up on the prequel trilogy, I loved reading those early Clone Wars adventures, I loved the Dark Horse comics, where she was the apprentice of Quinlan Vos, and so she is a character I'm very invested in. Her death in Revenge of the Sith was absolutely devastating. And the second reason, guys, is the second character this concerns is from Star Wars Rebels, my favourite animated Star Wars show. Now you guys know I've made no secrets about my frustrations with recent Star Wars canon, whether it's contradictions in the comics, in the novels. I don't want to go as far as saying Lucasfilm has butchered it. There have been some great stories, there has been some connectivity and cohesion, but there's also been a lot of mess. So I am surprised, and I'm very happy to say, with today's update, they've done something which I think is very clever indeed. So what am I talking about? Almost 2 years ago, Inquisitor Rise of the Red Blade is a canon book authored by Delilah S. Dawson, and this expanded our understanding of the Inquisitorius. After the fall of the Jedi Order during Order 66, some Jedi survivors of the Purge were given a choice: death, or join the new Empire as disposable Jedi hunters, known as the Inquisitorius. They all answered to Darth Vader. I don't need to summarize this, I've spoken about the Inquisitors to death. But this book gave us a different perspective. It focused on a certain Inquisitorius, a former Padawan who became an Inquisitor. And just like in some of the Vader comics, but to a greater extent, we really learn about the inside outs of the Order, some of the drama on the inside, some of their struggles, their fears, and aside from the aforementioned Iskat, the 13th sister, a couple of other familiar Inquisitors also appear too. Most notably, my dear friends, the one Inquisitor Iskat could not stand, the 7th sister, the Mary Allen Inquisitor from Star Wars Rebels. The one who for many years fans theorized was Barriss Offee, but of course, Tales of the Empire debunked this. But she was a particularly twisted, morally dark, evil member of the Inquisitorius. And if you remember, in Star Wars Rebels, she died during the mission to Malachor at the hands of Darth Maul. But years earlier, Rise of the Red Blade shows us some of her earlier interactions, and in this book, we learn something shocking. It is heavily implied she was the Padawan of Aayla Secura. And the craziest thing about this is the 7th sister, in her pain, in her anguish, displayed none of the same peaceful, graceful attributes of her former master. But it makes sense. She lost everyone during the Great Jedi Purge, and was forced to become a disposable cog. A Jedi Padawan turned into a Jedi killer, forced to hunt down fledgling members of an order she was once part of. It's no wonder she lost her mind. But a fascinating detail in this book is the reason the other Inquisitors could identify that she was once Aayla Secura's Padawan is because she mimicked her former master's movements. I'm going to dramatize the passage. It says this: annoyed and restless, Iskat headed towards the pit, where she heard the sounds of a swooshing lightsaber. Someone was battling a training remote. She looked down from the edge, and far below where she was standing, she gazed upon the 7th sister, a green-skinned Mary Allen, leaping and twirling acrobatically, blocking shots from the different remotes, her crescent-handled lightsaber in hand. Iskat was fascinated. She stopped to observe her, watching her every move. Up until this point, Iskat knew one thing: the Inquisitors were not friendly. Why would they be? But there was one who Iskat particularly did not like, the one right in front of her, the 7th sister. She was so needlessly cruel, delighting in killing, delighting in the pain of others. There was something broken deep within her, something unnaturally jagged. In a way, Iskat felt sorry for her, and while she evaded Order 66, she could not evade her souring core. When she was found, and they turned her away from the Jedi, what was left was like a blade that ached for blood, ached for revenge. Iskat leapt to the ground, nearly silent, and the 7th sister whirled to face her, lightsaber defensively up. Despite being on the same side, the 7th sister was never one to take chances, and she trusted nobody. She was a cold, broken remnant of the Jedi she once was. She snarled at the 13th sister. The show's not free, you know, even if you've got that uniform. The Mary Ellen tried to impress and swiped her hand to turn off the remotes. And this, my dear friends, is where Iskat says, I recognize that sequence. You must have trained with Aayla Secura. And in a rare moment, the 7th sister is caught off guard. Her eyes widen, but then she quickly shrugs and says, so what? That life is dead. The world of the Jedi is dead. So now I fight alone. Worst case scenario for you now, Inquisitor. I kill you, and I don't even like you. Iskat snorted and replied, trust me, the feeling is mutual. So it's an interesting bit of dialogue between the two Inquisitors, but like I say, I was shocked when I found out this was Aayla Secura's Canon Padawan. And look at what she became. She was one of the most dislikable characters in Star Wars Rebels. I mean, don't get me wrong, she was a badass, but she was full of such malice. Such a vengeful, twisted, evil character, who often jeered and laughed at the pain of others. And in some moments in Star Wars Rebels, you kind of get the feeling that she wished she didn't have this life. I think her attitude is just a front. It's a coping mechanism. It kind of reminds me of Reva, but this character did not get a redemption. If you think back to the episode The Future of the Force, when they abducted children, and she says the line, who doesn't want to be a mother? It's a twisted joke, which also exposes a deep sense of longing. It can also be interpreted as anguish that she herself was taken away as a baby from her parents to be trained in the Jedi Order, and now that's fallen apart. She might feel like they let her down. So like Iskat points out in the book, we're seeing a very corrupt, self-debased, depraved side to this character, and I will admit, I find it tragic in light of who her master once was. And I understand, some fans just don't like the concept of Inquisitors. One of the biggest complaints surrounds the helicopter lightsabers. The argument is, it's a bit cartoonish, both in the comics but more so in Star Wars Rebels, and fans have generally expressed that they would have preferred to have seen varied styles among them, varying hilts that represent their different personalities. But at the same time, this choice was deliberate. It was a deliberate stylistic choice to show the Empire taking away their individuality. They're a uniform group, designed to eventually be killed. They were no longer the individuals they once were as Jedi. That's a part of what this represents. And say what you will about something like Tales of the Empire, it showed us that dark journey pretty well. But what do you guys think? How do you feel about these reveals? Did you read the book? I know I'm a bit late to the party, but I still do want to cover Star Wars lore whenever it's interesting. So share your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed this video, guys, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, check me out on socials, and may the Force be with you, always.